Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm here to talk about the sheer stupidity employed in the situation that our democratic socialist friends, aka the American neo-communist movement, has produced with Judge Kavanaugh. Apparently, they are more than happy to fake a rape in order to keep abortion legal. Of course, yes, I know in 1776 everybody was talking about, yes, abortion is a legal right, and we're going to discuss that, and we're going to write it down and put it in the Constitution. Yeah, right. That was a taboo subject then. It would have been discussed. On the other hand, pennyroyal and other abortion-causing drugs were at that time legal in all 13 states and were never even banned until well after the Civil War, at the behest, ironically enough, of the first wave feminists who were involved with abolitionism of slavery and of temperance against consumption of alcohol and other types of matters. So, but as if appointing Judge Kavanaugh isn't going to change that. There is, of course, Brett Kavanaugh, according to the left, has an unerring ability to sexually harass and malign women who will work for the deep state and the Democratic Party at some point in the future. And this ability manifested itself well before he was even 18 years of age. According to the Democratic Socialist, my God, this man must have the world's first psychic penis! Yes, he can tell who's going to be a Democrat in the future, and he can target them sexually. Hell, he's overqualified. Oh, shit. No. But in all seriousness, if you go to the Innocence Project's sites and you look at people who were wrongfully convicted of crimes that went to jail, or people that were even wrongfully accused of murder and almost faced execution, guess which type of crime is the most likely to fall into that category? Of course, rape, sexual offenses. Very easy to be misidentified. It's not that the victims are lying. I'm sure Dr. Ford had something happen to her. She probably was attacked, maybe suspected it was Kavanaugh, and it's very easy to manipulate a victim who initially in her therapy notes, they didn't know who the attacker was. It's very easy to manipulate a victim by getting them a lawyer and suggesting things to them and reinforcing what they're saying and convincing a victim that something happened when they didn't, so that way they turn into a good witness. Crooked cops have been doing that stuff for years. Sometimes accidentally, sadly, many times on purpose. Of course, the Democrats know that too. And of course, by the way, we know the Democrats also founded the KKK, who raised the art of false rape accusations to a high level heretofore unheard of anywhere. That's how they lynched people. I think that's what Clarence Thomas talked about, a lynching, a high-tech lynching. This is a trick that Democrats have been doing since they were running around with white sheets on their head, putting crosses in people's yards. And sadly enough, they've reverted back to their traditional behavior in this case. And here's the other thing. But the major civil rights violation in this case, and by far a threat to everybody's freedom, maybe even almost as bad as trying to ban guns, is the idea of going back into a person's juvenile history, juvenile records, and then compounding that with unsubstantiated or unproven allegations. Children, including 17-year-olds, 16, 15, 14, 13, whatever, do not think like adults. There are proven biological differences. That's why they can't drink. That's why, even at 16 they can drive, but there's limitations. A lot of states, even 17-year-olds are limited to where they can drive. You can't drive a commercial vehicle, for example, or fly a plane if you're 17. That's the way it is. And that's the way it should be. Okay. When you turn 18, whatever you did as a kid, unless you were tried as an adult in our country and in many other civilized countries, is swept away, expunged, deleted, and you get another chance. In other words, a real one. You're supposed to make mistakes if you're a kid. That's how it is. Now, who knows? Brett Kavanaugh probably wasn't there around Dr. Ford. And the attack she describes, somebody putting their hand over their mouth, searching their clothes, getting into some clothes but not removing the one-piece bathing suit she had underneath. That doesn't even really sound like a sexual attack. That could be somebody looking for perhaps a wallet or money that was stolen, trying to retrieve that, for example. Sounds more like that to me than any kind of sexual attack. Of course, the person's drunk. They may not, they took something that didn't belong to them. They're not going to know what happened anyway. But, read between the lines. Her account really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. If you are going to open up people's juvenile records to unproven allegations that happened when they were a juvenile, that weren't even adjudicated properly when they were a juvenile, and then attempt to use that to determine whether someone should have an occupation as an adult, we no longer live in a free country. This is the kind of thing, tracking people like that from birth is the type of thing that the Gestapo and that the KGB and that all your other totalitarian states, your Sharia terrorist states, does. This is totalitarian behavior. And the reason why, because it's easy to make the accusation. And the thing is, and ironically enough, for our erstwhile feminist friends, ladies, this applies to you too. You see, because females are far from 100% lily white and pure when it comes to hooliganism and alcohol when they're young or drunk or whatever. The female, if you don't obtain consent, let's say, and you throw your arms around somebody, French kiss them, stick your tongue in their mouth a little bit. Oops, I'm drunk, it's the wrong guy. Guess what? You're a rapist. You had a forced penetration. According to feminist standards, any kind of thing there, no matter what, is rape. If, ladies, you got drunk and you had sex with somebody, but you were in the superior position, you threw a leg over them, you climbed onto them, and you didn't get their ID, and you didn't get their driver's license, and you didn't test their blood alcohol level, and you didn't get an AIDS test first, you just, hey, I'm attracted, let's go, which is kind of what hookup cultures and colleges do today. Is what it is. Not judging that. By the way, you're a rapist. Okay? If we want to use a standard that low, and if you did this as a juvenile, ladies, you can't be a teacher anymore, can't be a cop anymore, can't work in an office anymore, can't work in a retail store. There might be kids, we can't have you there. You can't have you cutting people's hair or, working as a receptionist in a dentist's office. Oh my God, people might be under anesthesia. There, we can't have you there. Okay. Ladies, this is going to come back and it's going to bite y'all in the ass hundreds of thousands of times a year if you employ or successfully deploy such a low legal standard. Because, my dear ladies, you are just as freaky as anybody else. Okay? And in particular, even other sexual favors. Females, they like certain things done. And when the liquor hits and the weed hits or whatever's in your system, especially if you're a kid, we all know what's said. It ain't pretty. If it probably just as many potential female offenders out there, or I use the term loosely, that haven't been caught or whatever, as males. What you're doing is a threat to everyone. And there is no reason to peel back the protections and civil rights that we have for even one person in this country because you don't like their politics or their job. Okay? For one thing, I have a better idea. Try winning elections. If you win elections, you can put in any Supreme Court justice you want. Okay? I have a better idea. Try pushing legislation. Something given to you out of nothing by a court can be taken away by a court. Want to make abortion constitutional? Fine. Amend the Constitution. It's not hard to do. It's been done before. If you really think it's a civil right, we can have that discussion. Do it right. Same thing even with these illegals. You can come in the country, just do it the right way. If you think abortion, and that's really what this is about, should be a civil right, that it is, let's say, I don't know, fetus isn't a citizen, I am, so by rule, okay, gee, what about all the other citizens that get second place status? Well, never mind. Argue it the right way. There is, even in the Republican Party, there is a libertarian contingent there that would not particularly object to abortion being legal. I mean, probably is a cruel practice, probably does inflict some degree of suffering, whatever, on the embryo or fetus. I mean, no one really knows for sure. It's hard to see if reflexes are real. I mean, we just don't know. People think they do, and it probably does. But the thing is, we kill millions of animals every day. We eat hamburgers, right? People kill anything. But there are better ways to deal with this problem, and that's the essential, and that's the root cause of the problem with socialism. It's violent. It violates civil rights. They will lie. They will tell the truth. They will win by any means necessary. Even if it means framing people, they will do anything. What you see here, this willingness to use a civil rights violation against Brett Kavanaugh, is the same behavior that led to the Gulag, led to the murder of 100 million innocent people under communist rule, and another 5, 10, 20 million, well, probably more like 10, 20, some odd million under the Nazis and other dictatorships. This is the behavior of the Gulag. This is the mentality of mass murder that we see manifesting itself in one entire political party in this country, one of the only two, and nobody has challenged it for that on its face. Hopefully another civil war will not be needed to resolve this issue. However, communism, socialism, is the worst idea, along with theocracy, ever invented or conceived of by the human species as a whole throughout its entire existence since Homo erectus evolved into modern humans million years ago. This is by far the dumbest possible thing you could even think about inflicting. And if ever we were discovered by some alien civilization and they wanted justification to blow up our planet and kill us off, the only thing they would need to do is to hold up the black book of communism in the air. And our species may well end up being convicted on the basis of that. Socialism is murder, and it's mass murder by in means that have heretofore never been seen in the North American continent. What Europe has gone through, what the Soviet Union went through, what happened in the Cultural Revolution in China, all that stuff, America isn't shielded by fate or magic from having this happen. What shields us is our system of government, our rights, our approach to the Constitution, and starting with a person's right to life, to liberty, to the pursuit of happiness, the fact that they're innocent until proven guilty, and that in order to accuse someone of committing a crime, you have to not only determine whether they did it, but whether they meaningfully and knowingly did it of their own free will, what their state of mind was, which is why juveniles are not adults. The left has put us at risk. And Brett Kavanaugh is just a test case. If you can get him on unproven juvenile offenses, anybody with a security clearance, anybody with a gun license, anybody with a trucking license, anybody with a plumbing license, anybody that handles hazardous materials, anyone that works within 500 feet of children or elderly people or even animals in veterinary clinics, y'all can get your jobs. Goodbye. Unless, your politics is perfectly attuned to CNN and MSNBC or whatever the local commissar, down the street happens to think it needs to be. The left has, once again, threatened every single man, woman, and child with slavery due to their stupid behavior over Brett Kavanaugh, who is an incredibly qualified judge, who, if anything, will make an even better judge now that he has been framed for something he did not commit. He is going to go to that bench, and he is probably going to have better rulings than he would have. In fact, in an ideal world, I don't want to sound like a liberal, but indulge me for a second, every judge and every police officer would be framed for a crime they didn't commit before they became a judge or a police officer, so that they could see what it's like to be wrongfully accused when you're innocent. God, long live America. Stay free, everybody. And remember, under no circumstances should you vote for, support, or do anything for socialism. Whatever the problem is, communism, socialism is not the answer. In fact, the original problem is better than whatever some socialist proposes to solve it. Thank you very much. Have a good day.